me return to the caregiver, because I mean, at what point, okay, at what point does the threshold change from just not knowing any better and getting to the point where now, within the context of abuse, it becomes a potential criminal?
You see, and it's going to be a case-by-case basis.
Understood.
Because you have certain people that, let's say that there's markings on their arm showing that the caregiver didn't want to deal with mom and dad, so they strapped them to their bed. And so you have ligature marks on the wrist.
Mm-hmm.
That's abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say it's found out that a CNA, a certified nursing assistant, she over-medicates her patients to keep them compliant during her shift.
Mm-hmm.
That's abuse. And obviously I'm giving you situations which are going to be difficult to prove in court.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing that's why we do training with HPD, we do training with Adult Protective Services, because these cases take a long time to build up and prove. Because the victim in these cases sometimes are not competent to be witnesses in their own cases. So it's almost like doing a murder case where the victim is not dead, but just unavailable for questioning and those things. Those are the easy cases, believe it or not, because you have other cases where, let's say that mom had a pressure sore in her bed, she's taken to the doctor said, okay, you need to apply this ointment 3 times a day. 6 months later, the pressure sore has grown and grown and grown. It's like, do you hold that person criminally liable?
Mm-hmm.
That's a question that you have to just think long and hard about, because the doctor could have given specific instructions on how to care for this person, but the person, though, could have either misheard them or not understood them or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, do you label her a criminal or just someone that shouldn't have been put in that situation?
Yeah.
And that's one thing that it doesn't make the job easy by any stretch of the imagination.
Okay, so let's take a look at this, follow up a little bit more on the caregiver situation. The ones that work for organizations, which raises the bigger issue, and that is, you've got the caregiver organizations, you've got the financial institutions, you've got the doctors in the medical profession. Do they have reporting requirements?
They do, and I'm glad you brought that up. There are certain professions within our community that are mandated reporters.
Okay.
And
Mandated means there are
meaning-
sanctions
Exactly.
if they don't do it, right?
if they don't report, they get into trouble.
Okay.
And these are professions that you would think have a lot of face-to-face time with seniors, and you'd be absolutely correct. You have your doctors, you have your nurses, you have your caregivers, you have your bankers, like the teller.
Yeah.
If the teller suspects that there's abuse going on, let's say that you have someone disreputable looking bringing a senior into the bank, and that senior is withdrawing $100,000 in cash, giving it to that disreputable person, they're mandated to report it.
Mm-hmm.
We had a case, if I could just give you a quick story here,
Sure.
of an elderly woman walking into the bank with a young woman. And the elderly woman approached the bank teller and said, "Can I have $2,000 cash?" The bank teller looked at the account, saw that there was $2,000, and gave the older woman cash. On camera now, you see the older woman
Yeah.
giving to the younger woman. They walk out of the bank. An hour later, same couple, older woman, younger woman, walking to another branch of the bank. Same situation, the older woman says, "Can I have $2,000 cash?" The teller sees that there's just a withdrawal and says, "Can I ask what this is for?" You see on camera the younger woman whispering to the older woman, and then the older woman saying, "It's my money, give it to me." So the teller gives the $2,000, and again they walk out.
Wow.
Same day, another branch later, scenario, they walk in together, and this time the teller says, "I don't have that much cash right now, let me go to the vault and get it."
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, she's dialing 911 and the police come.
Mm-hmm.
The police separate them, and the older woman says, "Where am I at?" What happened was the younger woman was a 16-year-old neighbor of the older woman.
16 years old.
16 years old. And discovered that her neighbor was mentally incapacitated and took the neighbor to these banks to make a quick buck. And the police were called because it's mandated reporting. It was obvious that given the routine that was going on, the teller said, something's not right. I suspect it. And one of the great things about our law is that if a mandated reporter reports it, they are civilly protected. So that way they cannot be sued later on by saying, how dare you accuse me of elder abuse and stuff like that. No, you can't do that. They're protected from civil liability. So they basically don't risk anything. If they have a good faith basis to believe that there's an abuse going on, they're protected under the law from any sort of lawsuits. So that's a great way to facilitate people reporting these crimes.
It really piqued my interest. A 16-year-old, not knowing the difference between right and wrong, or supporting some malbehavior like drugs or alcohol that basically said, I gotta get the money, it doesn't matter. What's the motivation behind that?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to let them slide on not knowing between right and wrong.
No, understood.
Okay,
Understood.
let's take that into consideration. They don't get a pass on that there.
Yeah.
They're old enough, 16-year-olds who know better. I mean, my daughter's 14, and if she did that, she'd be grounded till she was 25. Okay, so let's not get away with that there. I do not know the motivations, whether it is simple greed, wanting the latest iPad or iPhone or iTouch or whatever these kids do today, or a drug habit. But I mean, yeah, I don't know the motivation for that. But,
Well, yeah, and so how about the care home? What kind of reporting requirement does a care home have?
no, they have the exact same kind. If they see that a patient is being abused, they are mandated to report the crime. Now, unfortunately, here's a little hiccup there. Who do they report it to?
Yeah.
Because oftentimes they'll report it to the Department of Department of Health. And they may not respond as quickly as we would like them to respond.
You're on call 24/7.
I'm on call 24/7,
Yeah.
but they're not reporting it. If they don't report to the police, because the police, they call me on this phone right here. Department of Health, they don't.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, because what they'll do is they'll do their investigation, and then they'll maybe do an administrative type of scenario where there's a hearing, or there's sanctions, or there's fines, or whatever like that, and it may not even reach the criminal level there. And so I just say, let's skip the middleman, go right to the police. But then again, a lot of care homes don't want that bad publicity.
Yeah, right.
And if it's maybe one of their relatives or somebody that they like committing the crime, it's like, oh, we don't want to see Tutu being arrested, so therefore we'll just...
There might be a little financial motivation there too, is to pay clients, so.
Yeah.
I hate to ascribe that there, but given the economy and the amount of money that's involved, that's a big temptation. So, what do you do in that situation?
Well, okay. Going back to prevention, if you have a loved one or anybody you care about in a facility, whether it be a 4-star resort type of facility that costs an arm and a leg to get there, or one that you walk in there thinking, how in the world does this place get licensed? Whatever the facility, visit them often.
Okay, visit them often.
Visit them often. My father-in-law had a stroke several years ago. He was placed at a care facility. Our family almost lived there. I mean, we took shifts to go there, and we saw the quality of care he was given versus the gentleman across the hall. I mean, when we walked in there, we had one of the nurses come and, oh, how's it going? He's such a good guy, and fluffing his pillow and giving him 4-star treatment because we were there. We never saw anybody go into that gentleman across the hall.
How sad.
And, I mean, not any family members, not any nurses when we were there. And we compared notes and it's like, what's going on with that person over there? No one was visiting, therefore, no one cared, unfortunately, including maybe his family or his friends or the staff there, because they were not putting on a show for anybody, so therefore he was just a number. And so that's the number
Very
one
sad.
thing I would recommend to anybody out there. If you have any loved one, anybody that you care about in one of these facilities, and it could, again, it could be a nice facility that they pipe in orchestra music, or it could be one that they barely get their Meals on Wheels on time. Visit them often. Show the staff there that this person is being watched out for.
Okay, and then the final category are medical doctors, okay, because they're the ones that can make pretty good diagnosis, and that it covers not just physical signs of abuse, but then you've got the whole element of the psychological abuse that takes place.
Right, and that's gonna be difficult, because again, even though they're mandated to report, if they don't suspect in their own mind, oh, this can be easily explained, these bruises can be age marks, these bruises can happen through falling down. So you're relying on the medical professional. You're relying on the medical professional to
All of the above.
all the above, all those guys with an MD behind their name, to make that report, and to actually look for the signs of elder abuse. And that's why in the past our office has gone to the med school to say, this is a reality. Just don't discount, if something in the back of your mind saying, this is unusual, just don't discount it as natural causes, because it can be something more.